Hey everybody, Felix Staffelbaker here. I wanted to read a Wired magazine article called Security News This Week. Russia's SolarWinds hack is a historic mess. At the most important stories about the biggest hack in years. Normally we use this space to round up the biggest stories from all reaches of the cybersecurity world. This week we're making an exception because there's really only one story. How Russia pulled the biggest espionage hack on record. Russia's hack of IT management company SolarWinds began as far back as March, and it only came to light when the perpetrators used that access to break into cybersecurity firm FireEye, which was first disclosed a breach on December 9th, which then a cascading number of victims have been identified, including the U.S. Department of State, Homeland Security, Commerce, and the Treasury, as well as the National Institutes of Health. The nature of the attack and the tremendous care taken by the hackers means it could be months before the extent of the damage is known. The impact is already devastating, though, and it underscores how ill-prepared the U.S. was to defend against a known threat and to respond. It's also ongoing, and there's so much more. Below, we've rounded up the most important SolarWinds stories so far from around the internet. Click on the headlines to read them. Why SolarWinds was the perfect entry point. Reuters broke multiple stories about the SolarWinds hack and its fallout, but this piece takes a step back to look at the company from the heart of it. The IT management firm has hundreds of thousands of customers, including 18,000 who are vulnerable to Russia's attack, who rely on it for network monitoring and other services. Its security practices appear to have been lacking on a few fronts, including the use of the password SolarWinds123 for its update server. That's not suspected of being tied to the current attack, but still. Inside FireEye's response to the SolarWinds hack, the Wall Street Journal this week shared new details about what happened inside FireEye earlier this month as it discovered and responded to its own compromise. The tip-off, an employee received an alert that someone had logged onto the company's VPN using their credentials from a new device. Over 100 FireEye employees engaged in the response, which included combining through 50,000 lines of code to suss out any abnormalities. How a fancy threat detection system failed the U.S. Over the past several years, the U.S. has invested billions of dollars in Einstein, a system designed to detect digital intrusions, but because the SolarWinds hack was known as a supply chain attack in which Russia compromised a trusted tool rather than using known malware to break in, Einstein failed spectacularly. The government can't say it wasn't warned. A 2018 report from the Government Accountability Office recommended that agencies and a federal defense system more broadly take the supply chain threat more seriously. Who exactly got hit? It's a good question, and that's one that's going to take a long time to answer. Microsoft this week at least shared some of its initial findings. More than 40 of its customers were the victims of advanced compromise by Russia. Microsoft itself was also hacked as part of the campaign. Of those 40, nearly half were companies in the IT sector, while another 18% were government targets. 80% were based in the U.S. This isn't meant to be a comprehensive look at the victims. There are likely plenty more than what Microsoft has found so far, but it does give a hint at the geography category, neither of which especially comforting. No, really, this is a huge deal. Don't take our word for how serious all this is. Read Tom Bosserts' New York Times op-ed in which the former Homeland Security advisor makes a convincing case that the magnitude of this ongoing attack is hard to overstate and demands a swift, decisive response in which all elements of national power must be placed on the table. This is also a good time to mention that the president has not mentioned the SolarWinds hack at all. Not once, not even a whisper. President-elect Joe Biden released a statement vowing to impose substantial costs on those responsible for such malicious attacks. So we're seeing one narrative play out in the public media side, and then we're playing a different narrative play out in the government rollout side. So this is very interesting stuff. I just wanted to put that out there. Staffelbaker out.